The crew worldwide, from Cali to Twitter, real hardcore fans, boxing ass niggas, consistency cops, police the views, we'll pull up receipts for any debate you choose. Shout outs to Clan Archie for the dope production. Ring gang stay with the best discussions. Ring gang radio.
Which segues into our next topic. It's one of my favorite things I complain about about boxing. As most people know, I mean, as the old adage of boxing goes as the heavyweights go, and up until possibly the 80s, it was that way. Well, in the 80s, it was. You had Mike Tyson, pretty much dominating boxing, as it is. If it wasn't boxing, it was Sugar Ray, and all that. In the 90s too, boxing, heavyweights had a resurgence. Had another golden age. But also in that time, there were also some of the lower ranks, particularly the welterweight division, had a resurgence in that era. You had your legend, you had Tito, you had Oscar, you had Bazooka Ike, you had Obakar, you had a lot of different cats that was, and they was thumping, you know what I'm saying? And it continued. Welterweight continued into the 2000s, where you had some new stars coming into the fray. You had, especially by the mid-2000s, you had your Margaritos, you had your Punishers, you had your Cottos, wow. Yeah, Claudy, Pacquiao, Floyd. Yeah, you had a whole
prime Shane.
Exactly. I mean, you had a whole bunch of prime motherfuckers in there, and they was, and then of course, Oscar was up in there. Oscar was still up in there. Of course, he would go down, and that would be a horrible mistake. But you had a legit welterweight with everyone, with the exception of Floyd. Really, they was getting it in. It was of course, Zab Judah, can't forget him. Corey Spinks. Can't forget that. Mayoga. Can't forget
Forrest.
Yeah, Vernon Forrest, God rest his soul. Like welterweight division was legit. Like, if you want to call it 147 the glamour division after the heavyweights dropped off by the early 2000s, you'd be correct, because the welterweights was lit. These days, now of course that era is pretty much all but done.
It's like a folklore, a myth. You tell the younger generation of fans now, back in the day, my nigga, like the welterweight division was popping. Like, oh, word, really?
Yeah, like super popping. Like even with bums like Andre Berto, they was up in there. They were being handed belts, but they got the attention. Even he got a lot of attention.
Hey man, I know you ain't a Berto fan, but Berto still gave us some great fights, man. Like the Collazo and the Victor Ortiz fight. Like I'm waiting to get one of those type of fucking fights from these crop of welters, and we haven't really. I mean, with Thurman Porter is about the closest thing to that.
Pretty much, and the problem, that's the problem with 147 is. People like to say, 147 is still the glamour division of boxing. I don't think it's... No. I do not think it was... I don't think that's the case anymore. I mean, because the previous welterweight era, like, niggas got it in, they fought. Some of them were, unbelievable fights. Some of them were classified. Some of them had personalities. All these things that are missing from this generation.
You saw more knockouts at the top level.
Yeah. They were legitimate, they were great fights, but I don't get that in this generation of welterweights. And you have, like you mentioned before, you have your Thurmans, who is a great fighter. He's a damn good fighter. The problem is he doesn't like to fight. You know.
Yeah, for whatever reason, you know, injuries, marriage, who knows? But
right.
then we got Crawford on his side of the street, where it just seemed like he's just gonna be fighting, you know, cannon fodder and career mode guys to increase his legacy. I don't know if Crawford, you know, will ever get a real true legacy defining fight. And it's kind of crazy where a guy is already, you know, been a champ in 3 weight classes. You know, he already Hall of Fame bound. He already top 3 pound for pound, and he hasn't had a true legacy defining fight. I think there's a problem. I think there's something wrong with that. But, you know, then you got Spence,
who's more interested in chasing a fucking 135 pounder than trying to make a fight. He's making all.
I mean, Mikey Garcia called him out.
Yeah, but he's not supposed to. But he's not supposed to take that shit serious. Like nigga, you have a belt, man. Like you have welters. Like you making excuses about oh no, Crawford's on the wrong side of the street. But then this nigga's like really trying to go after like Garcia. Like that shit's good. A win over Garcia is not gonna do shit for you, bruh. Not at all.
It's a win over another pound for pound guy. The same shit, the same energy niggas had for Floyd when he was fighting Marquez, and Mikey Garcia to me is way more regarded in the sport now than I think Marquez was going into that fight with Floyd.
I mean, that fight with Floyd and Marquez, I thought that was bullshit too.
Yeah, hell yeah, that fight was way bullshit. But to me, if this is a better fight than that,
I just can't. I don't see it because, you know, yeah, because Mikey at least does have the stats, but in the end of the day, it's Spence who's probably not even a natural welterweight. I mean, he's really a 154 pounder versus a blown up lightweight. That's really much what it is.
This is the thing. Garcia didn't look small or nothing at 140. To me, I'm not too.
He also didn't look like he also looked like he was hitting his ceiling at 142, and this was against Lipinets.
I felt that way, but he still outclassed Lipinets, so Lipinets was a little better than we all thought he was, because he got in his shots with Mikey. Like, I'll give him that.
Like I expected, I thought Mikey would stop him, but Lipinets was more than competitive with him, and this is where I kept on thinking.
I mean, he wasn't competitive round wise. He was like as far as like winning the fight competitive. Nah, like he took a few rounds, but he was more competitive like round to round wise because Mikey Garcia couldn't just drop his intensity or nothing. He had to stay focused throughout the fight. You know, because, you know, Lipinets was catching him with them counters and those counter level hooks and certain shots. So, you know, he had an opponent in there in front of him. It wasn't like where Robert Easter was fading and you're like, okay, I took over officially in a way. Like, he never really took over with Lipinets. He never dominated the dude. Like, he ain't wipe his ass with him or nothing. So, and even with Broner, 140, like, I think he'll be okay at 147. Like real talk.
Yeah, but the thing is though, at the end of the day, Spence is fighting that, and this is what, and considering that there are better challenges for him at 147, particularly.
Of course.
Yeah, and this is the part that, and this is what I can't vibe with Spence right now on that, because he seems like he's adamant on that. And then you have Danny Garcia, who's like aforementioned, like he moved up from 140 to 147 and has not been impressive at all at 147, not by any stretch.
We already looking at Swift as like number 5 or 6 in welterweight right now, and I feel like Swift shouldn't be after the guy that has to fight all the tough motherfuckers at 147, like. And Porter is becoming that way too. Like Porter resume at 147 is ridiculous. So it's like, okay, Spence officially he really has he has a Ugas fight that he could do. He could go for a Porter fight. You know, I don't think Porter's gonna go for that fight.
Well, right now Ugas is in a situation where he's the actual #1 contender for Porter's belt. And I think that's the fight they're trying to make for the Spence Garcia pay-per-view. That's the rumor.
And that's a good fight. And I feel like, you know, the winner of that should get Spence. And see, if Spence could get the winner of that after the Garcia fight, I think that's a great year for him.
Yeah,
or at least a good year.
Because it will be a unification. But the thing
because all the shit about Crawford being so hard to fight Spence, Lomachenko gonna be the same way for Mikey Garcia. So at PBC, who was there for Mikey Garcia to fight besides Lomachenko?
Linares, who got KO'd by Lomachenko, so that fight,
and that fight ain't really. That fight's harder to sell than a fucking Murata Triple G fight.
Word. You know, but the thing with welterweight though is good fights in this division don't happen like they used to.
And they don't happen as fast enough. You get one every fucking year compared to everybody else.
Like the last real good fight in that division was probably Spence versus Brook. You know, because and even that fight was tainted slightly because Brook
it was a significant fight. Like I agree. Like I want to put Porter and Swift on that list though. Like I think that was the last significant welterweight fight. But like you said, it's a whole year apart from fucking Brook and Porter. I'm sorry, Brook and Spence.
Yeah,
so
and then
you mean that's all we've gotten since then?
And then of course you have your Thurman and Swift, but that fight wasn't really a good fight. And like I said,
that was a whole year before.
Yeah, and I also too, I don't consider Swift a really good welterweight. He hasn't been impressive at all. He's there simply because Swift is just there simply because of what he did at 140, and that's basically what's carrying him at welterweight. What he did at 140, not what he did at 147, because he ain't done shit really.
And that's the thing, like Swift, I felt like when he has his little tune-up or stay busy fights, he could fight a higher caliber level guy than the cats even fighting, like the Robert Guerreros and the Pollys. It's like I wouldn't mind Swift fighting a Delorme fight or a Collazo, those type of fights where, okay, I'm not gonna fight Thurman right now, so let me fight a guy who's at least a fringe contender who has a chance to win. And it's like, I feel like at welterweight, you don't have a lot of setup fights that lead to anything. It's just random select mode, grab bag fights, and you know,
and hope whoever's who's supposed to win does not fuck up.
Yeah, pretty much. And whoever's left standing, you might have a unification fight. Like what the fuck? Like, y'all niggas get y'all shit together. Y'all niggas fight already.
Like when you talk about setup fights, like probably the worst of this atrocity was Devin Alexander versus Andre Berto. Now Devin could have been, marketed as could have been in that role because he came back from his drug issues.
Right.
But within a span of 2 fights that both happened this year, he's pretty much ruined from that particular role for anything.
They would have to build him up again, and it's like, god damn, like y'all can't be playing with people's careers like this, because now, I mean, who realistically could Devin Alexander fight that he could beat, and that could make you say, I could see a Alexander Spence or Alexander Porter rematch, or Alexander Crawford, like who?
But now we're in situations where, because he has a draw against Ortiz and he has a loss against Berto, it kills those type of fights. It kills them dead, really.
Yeah, so it's like he has to fight a jobber nigga to get a win column back on his on his record. Then he has to take another fight, maybe a guy like a Felix Diaz level guy or a Collazo level guy. He has to beat them, and then now, okay, maybe he has enough momentum to fight a Spence or a Swift or a Thurman or somebody like that. But damn, he has to go through 2 more fights. He ain't a young dude like that.
Nah, not at all.
And then it's like these niggas only fight twice a year anyway. So you're talking about another year out of his career, where if the right thing would have happened, you know, if he didn't get fucked over, we'd be talking about, man, them and Alexander and Spence would be a good little fight. Like, real talk, they could do a fucking Garcia Spence double header, have Garcia fight a nigga at 147 and see how he looked. Have Spence fight like an Alexander type of cat. Afterwards, Garcia and Spence pay-per-view. At least you kind of leading up to this shit. It's not no random, you know, you go from fucking Robert Easter to now damn Spence.
See, Albert, you're speaking too much sense right now, bruh. Speaking too much goddamn sense.
All right, my bad. Let me get more intoxicated. Then I started spitting some bullshit. Oh no, we can fix that.
But yeah, like you see all this shit happening in the division. There ain't nothing glamorous about this goddamn division. Nothing. Like the biggest fight in boxing right now is not even in this damn division. You know,
has the biggest fight in boxing happened in the welterweight division in the last couple years? Like, has it?
Obviously the last fight of that nature, obviously, is of course Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. You know, and
okay, after that, the biggest fight in welterweight was probably Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia.
Right. And that fight, like I said, you know, unfortunately, just like
the fight was only good for 6 rounds. So we're left with that, and it's like, okay, like,
and in contrast too with the other divisions. I mean, we talked about 160. 160 went out of its way to really try to, you know, clear some shit up. Unfortunately, you know, the cipher wasn't completed with Saunders, you know, getting busted for drugs, you know, but at least the other 2 big middleweight fights delivered in their own way.
Basically all the top 10 names have fought recently at 160, and they've, for the most part, been in meaningful fights that moved the division forward and not stagnated.
Right, and exactly, and it's the same thing with 175. You know, there's movement all the goddamn time in that division. Even Superman himself is taking steps to not be stagnant. You know, in that, and he's the man in that division. And you have
even lightweight.
Yeah, lightweight. Yeah, cruiserweight. Of course, you know.
Of course, cruiserweight. Cruiserweight goes without saying. That cruiserweight been the real fucking, you know, the people's division for years. If you want to keep it real.
Oh yeah, I can keep it all the way right. Yeah, cruiserweight is the unsung division of boxing. And unfortunately, like I said, is, you know, the reason why it doesn't get the attention because it's not a U.S. centric division. It hasn't been since the last decade. You know, so when they actually had some U.S. fighters up in there, in the mix. But the problem was, even without any American fighters in that division fighting regularly, or any top American fighters in that division stays lit. Like, the top fighters fight each other constantly. They do, and then, like I said, the World Boxing Super Series in that division, you know, is a perfect example of that happening. It's like I said, it's a division that you can't talk bad about. You can't, you know. And then of course you have 118 now. They're doing a thing with World Boxing Super Series. You have 115, you know, with King Soar, Chocolatito in the ilk. Featherweight has been consistent. Yeah, like I said, you have all these divisions in there, but you know, but people want to say welterweight division is the glamour division. You can't. I just don't see it.
You can't. It's not. It's just the fights that need to happen don't happen fast enough or consistently enough. And the second tier fights don't lead anywhere.
Exactly.
It's a bunch of fucking, it's like, picture having a network that, you know, maybe it's a streaming service or whatever the fuck, and they do all these creative shows by talented screenwriters and the best actors and actresses, and it got a lot of potential, but the shows only go for one season. They only last one season, and you got like 5 or 6 shows that are just like that, and always just one season. Then you have other networks that have shows that are great or just as good as this other network, but the shows keep going on for like 3 and 4, 5, 6 seasons. So you're like growing with the network and you're seeing it grow. And that's how I'm looking at the welterweight division. Like, you got a lot of potential. You know, you got niggas that could be a great series, but they're just really just getting one season out of these niggas. Like, it's a one season and then a spinoff, and then we might hear about you later on. Like the top 5 people in the division need to get in meaningful fights every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do, and you know, you see, and of course that doesn't happen. You know, it does not happen at all. I mean, in fact, I can't even tell you a top welterweight right now who's even close to that. Except maybe unless you want to count Porter. You know,
Porter, like, hey, Porter's the only guy who's really has the best welterweight win this year. Like, I mean, even fucking, I mean, even the second level guys like Broner and Vargas got draws this year.
Right, you know, Vargas has 2 draws. And
Pacquiao got the second best win with the Matisse knockout.
Right.
I mean, Crawford and Benavidez, I mean, we knew that was going to happen. So it's, I mean, is this what you guys, are y'all entertained? This it?
Is this shit really glamorous? Is this the shit that you can sell to the plebeians out there in the boxing world, the public, the casuals? That's
what I'm saying. Because look, if you're trying to, like, picture this, if you're trying to make somebody a casual guy, you're trying to make him into like an advanced casual boxing fan, you know, a guy who they always want to watch the big fights and you know the pay-per-views, but they see the big main events too, you know, for the regular cards, you know, boxing and shit, you know, the shit that's on Fox or HBO or Showtime. Then you got guys who kind of tune in a little extra more. They might catch that Friday night fight or that, you know, the random fight or two.
Right.
You're trying to promote boxing to a guy like that, and you're trying to think about what division you could get them fights from, or tell them to really, like, yo, these niggas, they get it in this division, like, they make the best fights. Let's be honest, like, welterweight would not make that list. Like, if I'm sending dude a whole bunch of links of fights that happened this year, you're gonna see some middleweight fights, you're gonna see some lightweight fights, and you're gonna see some fucking heavyweight fights. But you're not gonna see a welterweight fight. You know, I'll send you fucking Linares Lomachenko. I'll send you fucking Chisora Takum, Joshua Povetkin. I'll send you Golovkin, Triple G, fucking Jacob Derevyanchenko.
You know what I'm saying? No, send them Hurd versus Lara. I mean,
yeah, like, I'll send you a whole bunch of other fights before we even get to a welterweight fight.
Exactly, and that's the
important, the exciting, the good welterweight fights I would even show you. I would even tell you, like, well, yeah, these ain't the best niggas, but, you know, this was a good fight. Like, I send you Broner Vargas, I'm gonna be like, yeah, it's a good fight between 2 top 10 cats. Pacquiao Matisse, I'm gonna be like, you know, Pac got his first knockout in like years, nigga. Here, you know. Fucking Crawford Benavidez, I'm gonna be like, yo, just watch the first 4 rounds and then watch the last 1 round, like the last round, and then you'll see the whole fight. Porter Swift, like, decent fight, but nothing to be like, Oh yeah, nigga, you gotta see that. So it's like, man, that don't sound too glamorous to me. Like,
Nah, not at all.
it should be top 5. Like when I hear glamorous, it's like I'm like, okay, what y'all got?
Yeah, exactly. What fight is lit? What fight is the most lit? Like, what's the shit where you know niggas are gonna thump? What's the fight where you know that this is a fight is gonna push the division into a direction of something where there's no, instead of a state of stagnation. It ain't welterweight, not at all. It's not welterweight.
Nah, it's not. They could make a comeback next year. We'll see. But we've been giving these niggas chances for years. But
Right.
all I can say is Pacquiao Broner is a start, and that's all I'm gonna say for welterweight right now. Like you other niggas need to make some big fights. That's it.
Right. And like I said, we know why. Really, the glamour part of it is the fact that welterweight is majority American. That's part of the reason why.
Right.
That's what it is. In boxing, unfortunately, like I said, your typical cast. It's very U.S. centric in a way, and then welterweight is the division that's probably the most U.S. centric out there. It might be the most U.S. centric division in boxing today. And that's part of the reason why I think it gets a lot of this glamour. But there's only so much, there's only so much you can actually use to actually keep using that, as fact that welterweight is actually worth a damn. So yeah, it's just like, welterweight, you gotta step your game up. 160 is the division in boxing right now because all the damn fights that niggas want to see are in this division, and probably have a high chance of happening since that now that all the damn middleweight champions on the zone are going to be on the zone. So
yeah, if you pick shuffle mode on the middleweight division, you at least get some random fights that that'd be like good. But I feel like if you get you put shuffle mode on welterweight, the random fights you'll get are gonna just be on some like the fuck, like this is it, like. How come these names never get messed up with these names? And it's like, nah, nigga, we'll give you Delorme and Spence. We'll give you the trilogy. Nah, Delorme and Bud. We'll make that a trilogy, y'all. Like, that's the shit we getting, man. But it's all good.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens next year.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, 2019, man. It's the year show and prove. The time of reckoning is at hand for a lot of different things in boxing, especially the welterweight division.